Hi, seventh grade. Happy Monday. Uh, Today we're going to talk about Chapter 9, the Constitution, a more perfect union. Um, After the short introduction, which the introduction is called the preamble, the Constitution is cut into articles. Um, the Constitution combines flexibility with a strong framework for government. Um, The delegates allowed Congress, the president, and the courts the basic framework, and then they can work together to change it. Like I said, the introduction is the preamble. It explains the reasons for the new government. It starts with the phrase, "We the people." It then lists the goals of the new government. It also aims to kind of establish justice. They hope that the new government would ensure tranquility, kind of tranquil, kind of peaceful existence. They wanted it to promote general welfare, so virtually um, welfare of others, so financially as well as well-being of others, and also to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity. So there again, prosperity, money, um, growing, growing in our wealth or in our occupations. Um, Article 1 um, gives the power to make the laws to the legislative branch. The legislative branch, it's bicameral meaning two. Uh, they have the Senate and the House of Representatives. The Senate is actually the upper level, and they have a 6-year term. There's two of them per state. They have to be 30 years old. They need to be citizens of the United States for 9 years. Whereas in the House of Representatives is the lower house. They have a 2-year term. They're actually their numbers are based on the population. Right now, 435 are the total, and then they divvy them up based on population. They have to be 25 years old, and they have to be citizens of the United States for 7 years. And the primary job of Congress is to make laws. Um, if a majority in one house votes in favor of a bill, it's sent to the other house for debate. If both houses approve the bill, then it goes to the president. And if the bill becomes a law, the president signs it and it becomes a law. Um, the president can veto any proposed law. Congress can override the president's veto, but they have to have 2/3 majority in both houses, so in the Senate and the House of Representatives. If you watch Becoming a Bill in Schoolhouse Rock, they actually show you exactly the process in kind of a fun way. Article 2 is the executive branch. Um, the president is the chief executive. Um, the Constitutional Congress were not prepared to let the people elect the president, so instead they select a group of electors, and that ends up being the Electoral College. We've talked a lot about that, especially with the 2020 presidential election coming up. Each state would have the same number of electors as they have the House of Representatives and the senators in Congress. Um, President is a 4-year term, but they can be reelected for a second term. So can be in office up to 8 years. They have to be 35 years old, or older, and they have to be a natural born citizen. In addition to carrying out laws passed by Congress, the president is commander in chief of the military forces of the United States. They can, with the consent of the Senate, make treaties or formal agreements with other nations. The president nominates or recommends ambassadors and Supreme Court justices. He also can grant pardons. He or she can grant pardons. The Constitution gives Congress the power to remove a president or any other officials if they commit certain crimes related to their duty. Therefore, they can be impeached. Article 3 of the Constitution gives the basic framework of the judicial branch. What the judicial branch is the Supreme Court. They have two main sets of inferior federal courts. The lower courts are the district courts and appellate courts. Most cases involving federal laws go to district court, and appellate courts only consider if a former trial was fair or legal. The Supreme Court is the last stop in the judicial system. The decision that they make is final. There's no going above the Supreme Court, and they serve for life, either until their death or until they get too sick, or if they retire. The framers developed a system of checks and balances between the three branches to make sure that no one branch gets too much power. The executive branch can veto bills that the legislative branch has done, but the legislative branch can override the vetoes. The executive branch can nominate Supreme Court justices to the judicial branch, but the judicial branch can reject treaties that are unconstitutional. The judicial branch can reject laws that are unconstitutional, and the legislative branch can approve appointments of the Supreme Court justices. So it's all checks and balances. Article 5 describes how changes called amendments can be made to the Constitution. An amendment can be proposed in one of two ways. Congress can propose an amendment by a vote of at least 2/3 of the House of Congress, or a national convention called by Congress at the request of at least 2/3 of the state legislature. The Constitution gives two ways of ratifying an amendment, or ratifying is to approve it. If they can approve it if at least 3/4 of the states agree, or they have a special convention in which 3/4 of the states agree. Then the amendment is approved and it becomes part of the Constitution. Over the years, people have suggested more than 10,000 amendments to the Constitution, but only 27 have actually been approved since the writing of the Constitution. The first 10 are our Bill of Rights, which those were set up immediately, pretty much. And then The 13th Amendment made slavery illegal. The 14th Amendment gave every citizen, everyone, citizenship, including African Americans at the time. The 15th Amendment gave all men the right to vote if they were over the age limit, and that included also African Americans. The 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote, and the 26th Amendment gave the right to vote to all citizens over the age of 18. Then Article 4 said that each state must give full faith and credit to the laws and the court decisions of other states. We have powers of the national government, we have powers of the state government, and we have powers that are shared by both. Powers of the national government is to make money, to set up a postal system, to maintain military forces, to declare war, regulate interstate and foreign commerce, commerce being money and goods back and forth, and negotiating treaties with foreign countries. Powers that are just by the state governments, conducting elections, establishing local governments, establishing schools, regulating marriages, divorces, and adoptions, regulate interstate commerce. So that's virtually from state to state, and providing fire and police protection, and enacting license requirements. Some shared powers, guaranteed civil rights and liberties, levying and collecting taxes, providing for public safety, protecting public health, establishing courts, punish lawbreakers, borrowing money, and constructing and maintaining roads. Those are powers that are shared by both the national government, the federal government, and the state government. The framers of the Constitution designed a government that was based on the will of the people. That means also that they kind of go majority rule. It is through elections that most people have a say in what happens. So if you care about change, you need to learn about what goes on, and you need to vote when you get to be 18. Have a great rest of your day. Make sure that you read through the summary and you do the Chapter 9 lesson game by tomorrow at 3 o'clock. See you later. Bye.